It is finally here. Disney Studios, Disney Crime, or is that what it's called? Actually, that's not what it's called. It's called The People versus Gorilla Grodd. And it's that Jimmy Olsen's show that they've been talking about. And we have no information about it. Until today, we've got more information who the cast members are going to be and what the whole series and the whole premise of the series is going to be. So let's talk about it without not wasting time. So the official show is titled The People versus Gorilla God, which is going to release on HBO Max. And recently, they just got the green lit or the order for the show, and this studio released this thing from Daily Planet, and we're going to talk about it. But first, let's move to this article from Variety, which says this is People versus Gorilla God mockumentary series set at HBO Max. Skylar Gisondo and Jimmy Tacho to star. So initially we thought that the show is going to be called DC Crimes or the Jimmy Olsen Show or Jimmy Olsen versus God, all those kind of names that have been out there. But now the official title is People versus Gorilla God. Now a lot of people have been saying that why can't DC Studios be releasing this? That nobody asked for Jimmy Olsen, nobody asked for a Gorilla God show. We just want Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and all that. Obviously, we want that. I also want that. But I've always been the type of person that has been saying that if DC can focus on big names, I think we should also be focusing on smaller names. And Jimmy Olsen is a great way to start when it comes to bringing on smaller names onto the spotlight. And that's what I love about this show. Now, the mockumentary, I'm not really a fan of mockumentary. I haven't gotten into much mockumentary to be able to judge that this could be good. But people mentioned the creators of American Vandals, which are the creators or which are the showrunners of this particular show. Tony Yacenda and Dan Parrott. So in case I made a mistake pronouncing their name, Tony and Dan were the showrunners of American Vandals, and they are the showrunners of the Jimmy Olsen people versus Gorilla God. I'm still used to calling it the Jimmy Olsen show. Let's do what the article said. HBO Max is officially moving forward with their DC Studios documentary series, now titled The People vs. Gorilla God. The show, was, the show was first reported to be in the works in November 2025. As reported at the time, Skylar Gisondo will reprise the role of Jimmy Olsen, whom he first played in 2025 Superman movie. Jimmy Chacho is officially set to play Gorilla God. By the way, we've seen Gorilla God in Creature Commandos during the gym sequence, and it was scary. So now, something information that we got was that Gorilla God is going to be a bit comedic in this show because it's a documentary and it's going to have a form of comedy in it. But the documentary is not really comedy fully, but it's just like an in-universe documentary. It's like you're making a film, and the entire film is about um, something, and probably someone died, and in that universe you are making a documentary about how this person died. So it's just an in-universe, that was the documentary is all about, in-universe documentary. So I feel that this is going to have a comedic tone because when they were saying they were casting Gorilla God, they said Gorilla God actor has to have a comedic background now to deliver what they planned for Gorilla God. Now, initially, I thought that Gorilla God is one scary character. He has some, not in my when I was watching the Justice League Unlimited those days when I was still a kid, I realized that Gorilla God, though he's a bit funny, but it's still that kind of character that carries himself and feels himself as this great ape that wants to help his own ape kind and reach this kind of level of height that no one has ever reached. So let's move on to the article. HBO Max has given the show an 8 episode order, so meaning this show is going to have 8 episodes including the pilot. The log line for the show states a super intelligent ape, which is played by Jimmy Tacho, is convicted of Tony Tacho is, I think that's his name, Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy Tacho. Continue. The log line for the show states a super intelligent ape is convicted for murdering his father, the king of Gorilla City. In an 8-part true crime docu-series, the Daily Planet Jimmy Olsen, played by Gisondo, reopens the case investigating whether Gorilla Grodd was wrongly convicted in one of Metropolis' most famous murder trial. So basically, I feel that this would cover a bit of the past and the future. Remember, if you read this log line carefully, you can see that Gold was convicted. So it has happened before. He has already been convicted. So the question now is, was he truly the one that actually committed the crime? And also, what is the does the US have authority of what happened in Gorilla City? I think that brings into question. Remember, one of the interesting about this is world building, and I want to know how Gorilla City gave gave the US authority to be able to convict Gorilla God. So it's going to bring an interesting point and interesting theory to that. So I want to see how that played out. And also, I want to see how it's going to end because I have a feeling at the end of the day, they are going to find out that Gorilla God didn't really commit the crime. He was just wrongfully accused, and probably it was someone else that committed the crime, and they are going to use that as evidence to release him. I feel that's what's going to happen. Because you know one thing about DC is that criminals get released every single time, and that is one interesting thing about DCU when they introduced the Salvation Arc. So if Gorilla God didn't commit the crime and he got released, I have a weird feeling that it will end with Big Flag Senior taking him and accusing him of another crime that he has done, probably in relation with the Flash, and they're going to put him in Salvation. So it means Salvation is going to be filled with Peacemaker and Grodd. So let's see how that plays out. Moving on, along with Gisondo and Tacho, the series will also star Superman actors Beth Bennett, who plays Steve Lombard, Michaela Hoover, who played Cat Grant, and Wendell Pierce as Perry White. I have a feeling that we are going to get Louis Lane cameo. If we're not going to get Clark Kent cameo, we are going to get a Louis Lane cameo. I have a feeling that's going to happen. Additional cast members include Mary Holland, Eduardo Franco, Ariane Moyad, Andrew Leeds, and Tim Bounce. I think this Andrew Moyad character is going to be very important because there's this particular report that recently came out that talked about him playing the prosecutor that Gorilla God is going to go after. So let's move on. Tony Yasenda and Dan Perel will serve as the writer, executive producer, and showrunner on the series. Will Parrot also set as part of the show cast? Yasendo will direct all 8 episodes. James Gunn and Peter Safran will serve as executive producer. This is Studios and Warner Bros. Television will produce. And this is about James Gunn. We're excited by the challenge of creating. Okay, this is not it's not them. We're excited by the challenge of creating a series that feels less like an entry into the series and more like an artifact from it. Yasenda and Parrot said, a Daily Planet original documentary made for people of Metropolis. We hope it will appeal to fans of the comedy and true crime. And while we can't speak for the audience yet, we already know it's huge hit in Metropolis. They love the series. So that's basically what people in the universe are thinking. Yasenda and Parrot are no strangers to the world documentary. They are both fantasy, famously created, critically acclaimed Netflix show, American Vandal, and let me try to just skip into more. Let me talk about this. We are thrilled to be working with Tony and Dan alongside James Peter, the entire DC team and the colleagues at WBTV to bring these iconic DCU characters to HBO Max in a new and unexpected way, said Amit Gavit, Executive Vice President of HBO Programming and ED of HBO and HBO Max comedy series. We already know Skylar Gisondo is pitch perfect as Junior, so we can't wait for fans to experience the return to captivating and hilarious portrayal of God. Gunn and Safran added between Skylar's wonderful performance and fantastic chemistry of the planet cast we knew blah 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 blah. But let me move on to other points. I have more things here to say. This is just the cast which I've talked about. Um, there's this. I'm trying to let me see if I can get that from book or smell. There was one who made that particular claim. Before I talk about that, let me talk about this. This studios released. This studios and HBO released this particular image. Okay, this is a statement from the Daily Planet, an in-universe statement from the Daily Planet, which reads: The Daily Planet announced today it will begin production on an 8-part documentary series that will dive back into Metropolis' most infamous murder trial, The People versus Gorilla Grodd. Will take a fresh 360-degree look at the case, revealing and a laser-sane side of the hyper-intelligent ape, according to the film's first-time director Jimmy Olsen. Olsen and I was granted unprecedented exclusive access to interview Grodd inside Strikers Island Penitentiary for the documentary. Gorilla Grodd has long claimed his innocence in the murder and brain consumption of his father, which is quite interesting. That means when they found the body, it's not only dead, but someone ate the brain. Is that how God powers work? Does it gain intelligence from eating brain? So that's something that's quite interesting. I want to see how that played out or plays out. A crime he was convicted in March 2021 and remained incarcerated for ever since. The series will take an in-depth look at the investigation, featuring brand new reporting from members of the Daily Planet staff, as well as interview with witness and experts on both Grodd and Metropolis District Attorney's side of the case, including Gorilla Grodd new counsel at the Metropolis Freedom Project. Now that's quite interesting. One of the people that are going to be helping God is basically these people that are running this Metropolis Freedom Project. Are going to serve as his new council. And the question now is that where exactly did this murder take place? Because I don't think they have the budget for a full Gorilla City CGI and editing and practical effects and all that. Because if the murder really take place in Gorilla City, then they have to go to Gorilla City to add some check meet the eyewitness. So I don't know if that's exactly where that murder took place, but I have a feeling that they are going to do what they are going to need to do to reduce budget. But let's see. Everyone thinks they know Grodd, the power-hungry gorilla who killed his father for the throne of Gorilla City, said Perry White, managing director of the Daily Planet and documentary supervising producer. But once you start to look beneath the fall, you start to realize there is a lot more to that primate. Now, it also brings in this thing. Are they going to create a world where we are sympathizing with Grodd? Which I won't be surprised because it's not about this is that a lot of criminals find a way to find a way to a lot of criminals they find a way to escape prison. And now another thing brings up is that if God is working with the Daily Planet, is God going to use his power? Because we know that one of God's power is mind control. At least to some degree. He has mind controls power, and we've seen it in the Flash, we've seen it in the comics, and we've seen it in the animated adaptation. So the question is, does God use did God use his mind control on Jimmy Olsen, or will he use it in the Daily Planet staff to get his way? Because at one point he's going to have to sound convincing to get out of prison. So is he going to be able to use his mind controlling powers? And we know that it's a Strikers Island prison, so obviously they are going to put the inhibitors on him to make sure that he doesn't use power. But at one point, is he going to be able to just bring that sad face and escape? I also feel that if they use the GLU animated series, they are going to find a way to bring what's this character name? Giganta. Giganta in the GLU and in the Justice League Unlimited was a love interest to Gorilla Grodd, though it didn't feel the same way, but it was just kindly he was using a. But if they do that, it's going to be interesting, and I'm going to love that if that's what they end up doing. But at the same time, I still don't see that happening because you're going to try and make sure that the budget is reduced. So if Giganta is in this series, it will make sense. But the question is, as at this point in the DCU, will she or will she not have a power? And let's assume this works. So the question is, what time period is this going to be? Because what's going to be better is that if this take place before Creature Commandos, if it takes place before Creature Commandos, that means at the end of the day, God is going to escape. Then the dream sequence, which means that God the princess and the god are working together, then it's going to be aligned, because that means there would have been a time where the princess had access to God. But if God didn't, if it didn't take place in the past and God didn't escape prison or isn't released from prison, then it's going to be a plot hole in Creature Commandos, that how did that dream sequence take place. But at the same time, it's a dream sequence, but it still doesn't really make sense. So I think this will be a better way, and I would love to see what happens. I'm really excited for it. I love this world building they are creating with it. It brings up the question as to how did the US have authority to Gorilla City? The US, and in the comics, Gorilla City is somewhere in Africa. I believe, yeah, it's somewhere in Africa, or its own island. I think so. Then if the US have authority with Gorilla City, how did they get him from Gorilla City to Metropolis? And how are they going to show Gorilla City? Because where did the murder take place? Did it take place in Gorilla City or did it take place in the US? Probably when he was coming for a UN meeting. So there's a lot of questions that I have with this. And I'm just excited for this. I don't know what you guys think about it. Maybe you feel that this is the most stupid thing you've ever heard of. Let me know that in the comment section below. Share your thoughts. My name is Adedayo. This has been Streamdorm, and I really want to know what you guys think about this and how excited are you for this particular show. Thank you very much. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and see you when next we see each other. Bye for now.